Hi, and welcome to this quick demonstration. Today we will look at Octopus Deploy, which is a solution that helps organizations manage their CI/CD pipeline, together with BeyondTrust as an external credential provider, can provide a more streamlined CI/CD pipeline by allowing central management and accountability around all the privilege accounts, privilege passwords that are required for day-to-day operation or for development or other environments. When it comes to privilege accounts and privilege passwords. So we will look at a quick demonstration here. And from a BeyondTrust perspective, we will actually look at two different products. So I have two projects here in my Octopus Deploy console. The first one is leveraging BeyondTrust Password Safe, and the second one is leveraging another product which is called DevOps Secrets Safe, which is a different product that provides some of the same capabilities for password management, password generation, but does not provide features like session management. But today our focus is mostly on the use case of allowing Octopus processes to be able to consume credentials from BeyondTrust. And we will start by looking at my first project, which is the one based on password safe. So let's dig into it. So first, there is the possibility within Octopus to manage credentials, but the idea here is to externalize them and put them in the same place where we have our other privileged credentials for the organization. So we have a process here, and the first step is to basically just configure some parameters. What is the server that we need to interface with? Do we need any kind of authentication? So we are using PowerShell here, and we are just basically setting a few variables here. Manage accounts. This is the account in password safe that contains the credentials here, a password. Manage system. This could be a virtual system or an actual system representing the Octopus server or environment. An API key for API access. We're accessing the REST API interface for password safe, and a run as user. We could add also more security, more controls around the authentication by adding certificates, by adding signatures. We already have in place some IP filtering that will limit access for this account to a specific IP address or a set of IP addresses. And the second step in the process, if we go back to the process, is actually checking out the credentials. So I call this step get credentials. And again, this is supported by another PowerShell script. This is where the actual logic is for the integration. And this is a PowerShell script that will consume the variables and that will eventually output the credential into a variable, a sensitive or protected variable within the Octopus process. So we can see here that this is just here a PowerShell script that plugs very naturally into the Octopus process, and this is what we are making available to some organizations, so they don't have to reinvent the wheel and recreate these processes. So they are generic and they can be consumed in a similar process. The idea here is to go to the deploy step. Here what we're looking at is basically using Octopus to deploy a web application in IIS, or Internet Information Server from Microsoft, and we're going to use a very simple fake web application. But the idea is, eventually we want to be able to have a new website and also configure an application pool account. This is the privilege account that we are dealing with in this use case. And going back to the diagram, so the first couple of steps were related to the interaction, between Octopus and Password Safe. But the rest of the steps, could be, any of your normal steps. The idea is to make this as transparent as possible, so new application can be developed using the integration, or existing application can quickly be, modified to be able to consume the external credential provider. So this is where, in the configuration of the application pool, this is where we, define or consume the variables for username and for passwords. So the password variable is a protected variable defined in the PowerShell script that is in the get credential step. So let's take a look at this process in action. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to create a release. So there's no release yet for this project, so we're just going to create a new release. Save that release. And then we are going to start the deployment. So you're going to see here the task progress. Shouldn't take more than a few seconds. And now we're deploying the package, which is a simple web app. And now the process is complete. Everything looks fine. So if we go to a browser like here and try to access localhost on port 80, I can see that, I successfully deploy my fake application, which is just, what we're looking at right now. Success, we deployed with Octopus Deploy and BeyondTrust PAM. And if I take another look at Internet Information Server now, if I refresh the site, I can see my fake website here with the binding on port 80. And I'll also be able to find my pool account here. And I can see that it's been configured based on the logic that we have in the process, and the variables that we define, including the password, of course, that we checked out from Password Safe here. So that's the first example here. Now let's take a look at the second example, which is for the other product, for DevOps Secrets Safe. And this one is very similar to the first one we looked at. If we take a look at the process, we have 3 steps. We set parameters, we check out credentials, and then we deploy our fake website to IIS. So let's take a quick look at those steps here. And the first step is just about setting up some variables, some parameters. So application name, Octopus. This is an application defined in DevOps Secrets Safe. The API key is used as an identifier for the application. We also are, interested in checking out a specific secret that is stored under that application. And we are going to talk to a server, an API server, which is Ubuntu K02. So this is a server that's running in my Kubernetes cluster. That's the server that's running the REST API interface. And I could have multiple ones also, so I can have load balancing. And what I will do with these is, I will be able to get to the second step and actually check out the credentials. So very similar to the example we looked at before. It's PowerShell, and again, it's PowerShell because it's a natural way, to inject integrations within an existing or new Octopus Deploy process. And you can see here it's standard PowerShell until we are able to extract the secret or the password we're after, and then we use a set variable to be able to store that into a protected variable. It's a password, so we're going to use the minus sensitive option to set this variable as a password. And now the last step is identical to the one we saw in the first process, except that the credentials are used from secret safe here to set the application pool account and the associated password, which is now showing up in protected mode, in password mode, because we use the sensitive option. So let's again create a release for this project, for this process, and let's deploy that release to our IIS server. So it shouldn't take more than 15-20 seconds to deploy. So we can see here the task progress. And we are going to deploy a similar package here, but we decided to, set the listening port to a different port so we don't conflict with our previous application. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to open a new browser tab, and I'm going to go to localhost, but this time I'm going to go to port 880. And I can see again it's the same application as before. If I take a look at it using Internet Information Services Manager, so I will do a refresh on my site, and I will see a new fake website. This time, this is the one created for DSS, and this one has a different binding, as I mentioned. It's on port 880. And more important, we also have another pool account, application pool account that has been created here for DSS, and the password has been set also using the password that we checked out of Secret Safe. So that concludes the demonstration for today, and these integrations are provided for both Password Safe and DevOps Secrets Safe as basically a PowerShell script that can be injected within an existing or a new process, so we can externalize the credentials. Thank you for watching this quick video, and until next time, I hope you'll have a very good day. Thank you.